Hey, honey. I gotta let you know I'm not feeling that great this morning. I'm not sure why. These days just happen, but I thought to record it just so you know that days like this happen, and so you're not alone if you ever feel this way. I can tell you a little bit about it. I can't quite isolate for somebody who studies the brain and behavior as much as I do. I still can't quite isolate what the reason is. I got my usual 7 hours sleep. There's no inebriants or anything in my system or anything like that. Normal eating, all that good stuff. But it just happens. I was up at 7 this morning, and since then I just have never quite got my focus in line. I don't know why. Even though I have all my rules there, my day written out and everything as best I could. And I even mentioned to my friend who's on the West Coast, and she goes, "Dude, me too." I was like, okay. Misery loves company a little bit. But whenever I feel this way, one of my rules is to force myself to, come to you and see what sticks. And most of it's not usable, but once in a while we get something that's not too embarrassing, right? So, this episode is about lip reading. I got this really cool video of my friends, and I was like, I got to use this somehow. This shot, it feels like a directorial shot that you would see in a movie. So I asked them. They said, yeah, of course. They liked it too. It was just an interesting shot. So, can you guess what they're saying? You can skip right to that section if you want to. It's two of my friends who were at a party in San Francisco, and they gave me a call, or I called them. I forgot who called who. And then they just started talking. And so it was just a cute video, but no audio was recorded. So see if you can guess what they're saying, and you can let me know in real life. I'm making this spoon. I've had this on my list of things to do for almost a year now for my friend's birthday. She's in the video. For my friend's birthday, which is next month. And I just keep putting it off because it's easy for me to get distractions of it. I keep holding off. And then yesterday I'm like, let's just go try. So I made this as a first attempt. It's awful. But there's a large piece of wood. I used a jigsaw, cut it all out, used a couple of chisels to scrape that out, then used sandpaper, and I want to get this neck down, and then you use a walnut oil or something to finish it. And then of course I went down the rabbit hole on how to actually make spoons, and I ordered some Sloyd knife today and a scooper knife, which has a name, but I ordered that today. So let's see if I start making spoons for my friends for their birthdays and for you. But there's that. I had a good Chinese class yesterday. We didn't study anything. It's the first time that for the whole class we didn't learn anything new. We just talked the whole time. And she was like, I have an announcement for you for tomorrow's class. I was like, okay. And yesterday was that class, and I was like, what's your announcement? She goes, it's the mid-autumn, it's the mid, well, I can get you the exact name. It is the Zhongqiujie Kuai Lei, Mid-Autumn Festival, happy for a long time. And that happiness is different than the Gaoxing happiness. It's happiness that she explained as eating a meal with your family. It's happiness for the long time. So that was their festival yesterday, and what they do is they look at the moon, the full moon, and they speak about it with their family and friends, and they light lanterns and they let it go. So that's cool. And she goes, I remember you made moon cakes. I was like, yeah, I made lunar moon cakes a couple years ago based on a recipe I saw, and that's one of the first things that I showed her. So she's like, yeah, we're gonna have those. And she talked about the sweet ones, the savory ones, pork, all these things. And I've only made a blueberry and lotus snowy moon cake. And so yeah, that was a really good class, and we talked about all of your favorite seasons and least favorite. My least favorite is autumn. I just get a little bit, I don't know. I just don't really, care for autumn. And then she goes, but you don't mind winter? I go, no, because in winter you're in it, and now I know that I'm in it, which is fine. It's death, and I know there's going to be a resurgence after this and a resurrection after this, but that transition of autumn is what makes me sad. And I've had a number of people who said that they get their energy from autumn. I'm like, that's great. Then I said, the only good thing for me about autumn is that I get to hunt. And she goes, oh, okay, so do you want to know more about that? And then I brought down Dorothy, which is my deer that was named after, my friend named my deer, my first deer, that I then flew after it was mounted. I flew from Oregon to the East Coast. So I brought that down. She asked all about that, how that works, and I explained even, anthropologically. She said, so you can't hunt year round? I said, no, it's only certain seasons, and the science behind that is you want to let the harvest, grow throughout the year. So the animals, the crops, all these things, and then your work finally, pays off at the harvest around autumn, Thanksgiving, when it gets cold, and hopefully you have a large, bountiful harvest for the winter, because that has to last you the winter. Otherwise, I said, anthropologically, this is a big deal. This is the reason why I said you and I are here, she and I are here, because our ancestors had done this. So I just do it now as a connection to my ancestors and to appreciate the food and the animal and all these things and the sacrifices. Yeah, so that was good. That was good. Talked about the deer, talked about the holiday. I am obsessed with Lawrence of Arabia. Still, all my friends are making fun of me. And I went to go see it in 70 millimeter. It was projected in 70 millimeter at a special theater just this month. They have Spartacus, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Inception, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Vertigo, Lawrence of Arabia. And I saw the film, and I used to work in a movie theater. That was actually my first job ever. And it's just 9 huge metal cases for each movie. So, that was amazing to see that. And and this is the opening line of Lawrence's dedication. And it reads to S.A. I loved you, so I drew these tides of men into my hands and wrote my will across the sky and stars. To earn you freedom, the 7-pillared worthy house, that your eyes might be shining for me when we came. And they don't know who S.A. is. They have some suspicions of a young man that worked with him, or it could be Saudi Arabia. And there's a few other suspicions. But I find Lawrence to be like a kindred spirit. I love the guy. And I'm nervous to read this book because I'm going down the rabbit hole a bit too much. Yeah, and then there's a little bit of sadness these days as I'm learning more about cultures and things like that. Even as I learn about China, my friend asked me, would you have an updated version of Lawrence of Arabia? What would that be now? And I said, in a way, it would be me. It's someone who's learning about another country and trying to identify with what he can there, and also with his home country and with all over, just trying to connect the world and experience having an identity issue.
But being intelligent and knowing foreign languages do share one thing in common. They're both painful. The pain, the true torment, is the confusion. For the bigger the circle of the known, the greater the contact with the unknown. And the more firmly unlearned beliefs used to stand, the more helplessly your new identity totters. Because you see, after learning a language, if you care enough, part of you becomes the member of the tribe to which the language belongs. And that cultural schizophrenia can be truly excruciating. As potentially excruciating as it is for those curious enough to see the world as it is, and those brave enough to tear down the veils of bigotry, instead of comfortably hiding behind the linguistic barrier and refusing to step forward and know your fellow human beings, or even the so-called enemies. And
then I got, quite sad thinking about how there's a finality, or there's an end to how much you can learn, because, you die. Carl Sagan mentioned on how to read books, he said, here's the rate at which a normal human can read, and he showed you in a bookshelf how many books that is, and it's only a shelf and a half or so. He said, here's how much you can read in your lifetime. And then the camera wides out as you see there's a huge multi-layered, multi-storied library.
If I were to read a book a week for my entire adult lifetime, and I lived an ordinary lifetime, when I was all done, I would have read maybe a few thousand books, no more. In this library, that's from about here roughly to about here. But that's only 0.1% or so of the total number of books in the library. The trick is to know which books to read. But they're all here.
So there's so much more out there to learn, but you just won't be able to get a chance to learn it. And my issue now is where do I put everything that I've learned? And this is one of those things. But yeah. So I'll go to the section now. These are my friends, and you can let me know what they're saying if you can figure anything out. And let me know in real life when I see you. All right, bye. Love you and I love you. Bye.